welcome back to another episode of Exos Heroes, and today we'll take this opportunity to take a look at the director's notes regarding Christmas event and the new content. We'll be walking through some of the newer changes, as well as some of the new content ideas that they're having, and I'll share a little bit about my opinion. I'm sure you guys will have yours, so if you disagree, let us know in the comment section down below. And since this is the Christmas event, hopefully we'll get this update within the next couple of weeks, preferably before Christmas. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, but with that being said, let's jump in. Alright, so starting at the top, the first thing we have is the new Path of Trials, and I think it's a pretty good change because for a lot of the players out there, Path of Trials has not been very accessible, the difficulty has been pretty high. So let's take a look at what are some of the new changes. So first of all, it comes with the chapter 14, the story of Brown have been concluded, the bosses you met in Brown will appear in Path of Trials, so they will be adding a new chapter with a total of 11 episodes to Path of Trials, so that will be chapter 6 for Path of Trials, that makes sense. And they also mentioned that the story and Path of Trials content difficulty level is revised downward in the content. So that is a good change. As we mentioned before, a lot of players had found it pretty difficult to actually complete Path of Trials, especially to 3-star them and get those meaningful rewards, meaningful zest that we're looking for. So this is a pretty good change. It just makes more of the content that's already in the game available to players by reducing the difficulty and, properly reward us for playing the game and sticking with it. And he also says in the story content, all existing no break conditions will be removed. That is a great change because no break, that's a very boring and tedious condition. And the number of breaks condition will be reduced, okay. And in the Path of Trial content, the number of break conditions will be reduced, as well as adjusting a few of the difficult special missions. Okay, so yeah, I think that's good. Not just a straight up difficulty reduction, also some mechanic changes as well, getting rid of some of the more tedious stuff. So I do like it. I think this is a step in the right direction. It's definitely going to make the game a little bit more meaningful to a lot of players who now can play on this higher level difficulty, but not so high to a point where you can't even attempt it. So I think it's great. Now let's move on to the next section, and that's going to be Christmas fatecores. So as you can see here, got seems like two fatecores here, and one of them is going to be Bathory. That's a girl pretending to be Santa. And then the other one is going to be Rachel. I mean, how many Rachel fatecores are we going to have? We already have 3 Rachel fatecores, right? I think. Yeah, we already have an event one that's kind of like a stick figure, and then we got the blue Rachel as well as the awakening Rachel. So this is going to be fatecore number 4 for the dude. I mean, seriously. But, I like it. The concept of having Christmas-themed fatecores, it's interesting. I'm curious as to exactly what they do, because often we've seen with event fatecores is they're purely aesthetics. They don't actually come with any additional abilities or any new additional stats. That just makes them a little bit more of a collector's item, not so much of something that really improves the game. And I don't know how much or how meaningful it would be for a player from a gameplay perspective. So perhaps these are more things for players who like to just collect stuff, or for the seasoned players who doesn't really need anything, who has a bunch of zest to spend on just fun stuff. So I like the concept. I like the fact they're doing something for Christmas that's Christmas themed, but overall, does it make the game better? Does it make it more interesting? Probably not. Now, moving on to the next section, it's going to be Quantum Raid. Again, this is another Christmas-themed addition to the specific period. It's going to be very interesting. I think Quantum Raid had a lot of potential. When it first got released, it was kind of a new type of game mode within the game that actually requires a little bit of strategy, actually requires a little bit of thinking. And I thought it was a welcome addition to the game. However, obviously as you started playing it, you realized a lot of mechanics are broken, a lot of things are just tedious, right? Like the inability to do repetitive battles, it just wasn't very polished at the time. But let's take a look at what's new this time. So, as they said, they have improved unsatisfying factors in the Quantum Raid, reflecting on the user suggestions from the previous Quantum Raid. So, let's see what are those. Yeah, it seems like they've mentioned idea about basic improvements, such as adding repetitive battle function, great, that's a thumbs up. Reducing the required amount of levy stones, that's great because, yeah, it was pretty costly, and I have to say, I used up thousands and thousands of levy stones, so that is great. And also changing the method of leveling up. So we'll have to see exactly what is the new method, but at least making it less costly would be nice, or just have some sort of experience-based system would be just a little bit easier to understand and to get used to. And lastly, also changed mana acquisition for each job to improve accessibility in the quantum race. So again, we'll have to see exactly what is the magnitude of that change, but I think anything to make it a little bit better is a step in the right direction. And then lastly, they've also added unique skills to certain heroes. I think that's great, right? It just makes it a little bit more fun. All the heroes in the past were pretty much the same, so I think this is good. I really like this because, frankly, I saw a lot of potential in quantum raids. I think as kind of a novelty event here and there, it was pretty engaging and pretty interesting concept, and the rewards are fun, in my opinion. The problem with this, as they've mentioned, there's just a lot of things that they didn't take into consideration that were quality of life things that needed to be in there. And I think they are addressing a lot of those. And yeah, I just want to take this moment to kind of, maybe rant a little bit. I've always been an advocate for the Lion Games when it comes to their ability to make improvements. I think as a company, they've shown a real dedication to their games. But on the flip side, like, the frustrating thing about Lion Games is they never get it right on the first time. Even if they've done things in the past that you think the lessons they've learned in the past are easily applicable to something that's coming up in the future, apparently not. They always have to make that first mistake and then correct them. And it's evident here with the quantum raid. Good concept. Don't know why they didn't have any of these things that they're talking about here included in the very beginning version of it. But at least, they're addressing it, and I'm happy about that. So, but enough on that. Let's move on to the big ticket item here, and that's going to be Whale Force. So let's take a look. The Signature Force, the new group Vagabond will be added to the Signature Force. Okay, that's great. So, as we expected, Schmidt is a new general, and obviously with that, it's going to come with the Schmidt Signature Force. It's only going to be the first stage and the first 4 enhancements, so we're not going to get the level 2 yet. But at least there's something. For all the players out there, at this point, probably it's not really worth investing too much into the Schmidt signature line because, frankly, there are just not that many heroes in there, right? It's the same issue that we're seeing with Dorka. It's the fact there are only 3 usable heroes in each one of these regions, and frankly, they're just generally poor investments. I really hope Lion Games will start to add a lot more new heroes. They don't have to be 5-star heroes. I don't know why every time a new hero comes out, it's always 5-star. Just populate the game with a little bit more usable 3 stars and 4 stars and start to populate these new regions with more heroes in them. Because currently, it just feels kind of bad. But there are a couple more additions to this, so it also says that the buff effects and required materials for the 3rd and 4th enhancement in each stage will be improved. That's great. Anything to reduce required materials is a step in the right direction. Obviously, this is Whale Force. At least make it Dolphin Force or something like that. It'll make it a little bit better and more accessible to more of the players out there. And obviously getting better buff effects, that's great. Let's see if they give us more detail. So it seems like, yeah, they reduced the required hero amount from 2 to 1, so that's good. And also on top of that, it seems they've added attack skills and attack speed buffs to stage 3 and stage 4 of the enhancement, so that's great. I think overall, this is a good direction. Will it be super impactful? We'll have to see. I think the material requirement reduction, that is definitely impactful. In terms of additional buff effects, I think attack speed is always welcome. It's useful on a lot of attack heroes. Outside of that, we'll have to see what are the attack skill changes. And lastly, there's a footnote here that says for those users who have already proceeded 3rd and 4th enhancement of the 1st stage and 2nd stage, we're planning to give out compensation. Further detail will be announced later on. So, alright, at least just refund us the generals. I think that would be good. I do have 3rd and 4th enhancement for Jinai, so it'd be nice to get a couple of those back and help me open up stage 2, so that'd be nice. I'll be pretty bummed if the compensations are just Zs, because I don't know if I like that. I rather want a guaranteed general. Alright, so there you go. Those are the new signature force changes. I think this is probably the most impactful one of the entire new patch. A lot of good changes, definitely moving in the right direction in terms of making the game a little bit more friendly for all type of players, especially the free-to-play ones, so great. Now, let's move on to talk about Knot of Creation. So what is there to say here? Knot of Creation content can be carried out by reopening String of Creation, by collecting certain Knot of Creation points between Air Squadron members. Knot of Creation points are accumulated when the hero that is equipped with a Fate Core is acquired through recruitment, except for String of Creation. The acquired Knot of Creation points can be found in Air Squadron menu, and then all Air Squadron members are provided with new items that allow them to reopen the closed event when they reached a certain amount of points. Okay, interesting. The language isn't super clear exactly what this is all about, but it seems like it's a new way to reopen the String of Creations, but you have to work with your Air Squadron members. So, interesting concept. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. As we mentioned before, Line Games never gets it right on the first try, so I'm not expecting this to be, anything game-changing. But if it does work kind of the way I'm interpreting it to be, then it creates a little bit more of those type of interactions with other players, which is nice. You have to work with your Air Squadron members, and it makes being in Air Squadron a little bit more meaningful as well. And on top of that, if it's a way to kind of reopen String of Creation, then that is good, because I think String of Creation at the moment is very much an overlooked mechanic. There are just so many banners coming out all the time with decent Fate Cores and other things. String of Creation just doesn't seem to be all that rewarding. So hopefully this will be a step towards correcting some of those. But will it be super impactful? Will it bring String of Creation back into the spotlight? Probably not. We'll have to see. Alright, so moving on to the next topic, and that's going to be new Fate Cores. As you can see here, Synergy 2. So what do we have here? It says we're preparing a new Time Walker and the Idol concept of Fate Cores, since you all have been showing a lot of interest in them. Interesting. So it seems like there's going to be two new set of Fate Cores. So Idol, that's going to be Synergy 2 as we're seeing here. Exactly what these heroes are, I'm not entirely sure. We can try to maybe guess. I think the one in the center, the haircut, that looks like April. The one on the right, I am not so sure. But if I have to guess, that's probably Fergie? Fergie can use a Fate Core, right? And then, the one on the left, I have no idea. Given the long hair, I would say maybe that's a Diva Fate Core. That could very well be a Diva Fate Core, but her facial expression is very different from what we normally see on Diva's face. But it'd be interesting. I think, yeah, definitely a new set of Fate Cores continue to come out with new Fate Cores. That's always interesting and exciting. As I mentioned before, I would love to see some new heroes, 3-star and 4-stars. But I'll take Fate Cores if they're well designed. And obviously there's also going to be a Time Walker. I'm not exactly sure what Time Walker is referring to. Are they talking about the Forgotten Memory line? I think that could be the one. Or is it the Blooming Someday? I'm not exactly sure, but it'll be interesting. So maybe we'll be getting another set of 3 when it comes to Synergy, and maybe a few more. Hopefully at least a set of 3 for Time Walker as well. So I don't expect these Fate Cores to really come out with the new patch. We'll probably have to wait a bit longer. I think these are probably plans for January and February. And also interestingly, we've all been waiting for the collaboration Fate Cores, but there's no mention of them here. Instead, we get these Time Walker and Idol mentioned. So maybe those are being pushed back even further. So yeah, for those of you who are waiting for that, I'm sorry, but doesn't sound like good news for you. But there you have it, those are the big changes. As we are showing on the screen here, there are also several smaller changes to the game as well, just quality of life changes. Feel free to pause the video and take a look through them. One thing we do want to point out is that they are announcing the new Eternal Bond for the next cycle, and that's going to be Shufraken and Dorka, so I think those are good choices and definitely something to look forward to, so hopefully you guys are excited about that. But otherwise, feel free to pause the video and take a look through some of these other smaller changes that they're making to the game. Nothing notable in our opinion. But overall, yeah, I have to say, this entire patch note does pack a decent amount of content. There are certain things, as we mentioned before, things like collaboration, fatecores, and stuff like that that are not included in here, and it's a little bit disappointing, but there's some interesting new changes. I'm sure some of you will be happy with those, some of you might be disappointed, depending on what you like, but at the end of the day, those are new content adding to the game, and I think are pretty exciting. So hopefully this gives you guys a little bit something to look forward to during the Christmas season. Edward and I will definitely be covering more of these new content as they're being released, especially on the Quantum Raid. We'll talk about some of the new strategies on how to best build a team on that, as well as discussing some of the new fatecores that will be coming out. So stay tuned for those videos in the future. And I think that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. As always, we've got more videos on Exos Heroes and Genshin Impact coming out pretty soon, so stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode very soon. Bye bye.